Frank Sanders joins Calling All Sports with Rock and Manooch.
All right, you guys are hot.
Sports 910.
Frank joins us down the right to it, guest line. Were you surprised to hear Colt McCoy was waived, Frank?
I was not surprised.
Really?
No, I was not surprised. And I think that when you look at the youth that we have in our quarterback room, this is a new coaching staff. I mean, we kept put with one intent. That's because we knew Kyler was hurt, and we can come in with some veteran leadership in that regard. But when you see how Mr. Toon has taken over and how well he's done this offseason, during the preseason, I think that you can kind of have an idea what you want to do. And once the guys went out and got Mr. Dobbs, I thought that was already writing was on the wall.
And now you got a situation where Coach Gannon is saying that they're not going to name a starter because they don't want to give away that competitive edge as who's going to be the starter. I mean, cry me a river here. I think we were born at night, but not last night. Why, Frank? I think Joshua Dobbs is going to be your starter for game one, I would think.
You know what? I agree with that. There's no reason for him to be doing it at this level. I think that the mentality and the mindset in regards to the public, he's keeping us at bay, that's what they do all the time as a head coach. But I think what the guys know in the locker room, I don't think Mr. Dobbs is going to be the starting quarterback. I think Mr. Toon's going to be the starting quarterback week one. And it's going to be determined on what happens in this we can practice. Let's do this here real quick, guys. All this offseason, the guys have been resonating to one voice or two voices, and that's Colt McCoy and Toon. But when you've seen who's gone out and played and the play of guys, you've seen Mr. Toon, quarterback Toon, be better than any of the other quarterbacks thus far. And so I think that when you look at the players, you got to look at the confidence of the players getting ready to go into the season, the voice that the guys have been responding to. And you notice, Manooch, once these guys get used to that voice and that trust of that voice, of knowing the play calling, awareness of down and distance and situation, the ability to be calm under pressure, you tend to feel like you can go do your job at ease. But if you have somebody that's new coming in, whether he knows the system or not, he has to prove to these guys, which is unproven in real time in the last preseason games, is Joshua Dobbs. He's unproven to these guys. Unless he does something so miraculous this week in practice that he throws right hand, left hand, he can field goals, he runs a 4-2. These guys are still going to have a trust factor in believing what he does in real time, and that's the most important part.
But Frank, hold on a second. Frank, but thinking about that.
So rude.
I'm just
He is, because I have a follow-up.
Jimmy had a follow. You know how this works.
No, I got it.
He's got to follow up on what Frank
I got something
about.
that's football related.
Well,
all that being said, hold on, guys. All that being said, is there enough weapons for a rookie quarterback and to protect him, to start him from that particular standpoint? That's the whole mix in this situation. You don't have the weapons to cover a rookie quarterback in that scenario.
Well, when you say you don't have the weapons, you mean Dortch, who looked like a stud this entire preseason, Mr. Moore, who we've seen very little of, but we know he still can go out and play. Hollywood Brown is your receiver. You got your tight end, and you got James Conner. Our offense has been a totally different offense with Clayton Tune. I'm talking about like just from the idea that we haven't seen JC really go out and play this offseason. This preseason. But we do know that we've seen in our offense with the offense coordinator is he will run the ball, he will move the pocket, he will allow his quarterback to make decisions. And so I think by watching that in Clayton Tune, I think you can see that the offensive coordinator is saying, my offense, I want to run my offense and call plays that best fit the personnel that I have. And I think when we look at, for me as a former player, if I'm in that locker room and I've seen what Clayton can do, he can throw the ball deep, he can get the ball out of his hand, he has legs to move left and right, he seems like he has a grasp of the system. To me, I think that looks like something of a quarterback I could go out and play with compared to watching a new guy show up. Now again, unless Joshua does something in practice that looks that looks spectacular, and he walks in and understands the system and flows normal, then that in itself would be my choice. I would go with Clayton.
All right, let me follow up then. So you're basically saying that Tune, in your estimation, should be the starter. So if that's the case, why then did they cut McCoy and go get Dobbs when you could have had the seasoned veteran McCoy as the backup, Now they have to get Dobbs up to speed, and then they still have David Blau. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here, Frank, on why they made that deal.
You're doing a good job.
Thank you.
But let me help you out. Let me put some wings on you right now.
I'm ready.
Here's the beautiful thing about this moment. The players play the game. And when you're in that locker room and you're in that setting, you're looking to find that spark of confidence. And that confidence that we've seen this team do something. They're 2-1 in the preseason. The guy that's been doing that has been Clayton Tune and David Blau. No Colt McCoy.
Okay.
Not much have you seen anything of Colt McCoy. So Colt McCoy was already kind of dead in the water once you've seen how much time we've given Clayton Tune to go out and play. We already know that Colt McCoy, veteran-wise as a quarterback, is extremely well conversation-wise, persona, but we're talking about 4 quarters of football, and that's a question mark that you guys have questioned very, very eloquently on the program because he has to play 4 quarters of football. How does his arm hold up? Can he give us 4 quarters of complete competition football in the NFL? Clayton has taken more snaps this preseason. He's been productive. He hasn't been destructive in throwing the ball, making turnovers or bad decisions. Just looking at the play on the field. And then I got to go back and I say, what's in the locker room? He hasn't been playing with all his starters. He hasn't been playing with the best of players. And so when those guys
2 minutes
on the field this week in practice and rotation, they will get up to speed, and then we will kind of see what we have in performance-wise. Not having Colt McCoy play-wise or not having Colt McCoy, that means all you've lost was a guy who you thought as a veteran. But you still got to go out and perform. And more importantly, the players want to have guys that can perform more than guys that can just look like a veteran.
And I will say this, Frank, they're going to bring guys in they know. In the case of Joshua Dobbs, he's got a relationship with Monty Austin from Tennessee and with Drew Petzing at Cleveland. So there could be a wave of a lot of guys let go and guys coming in the next 2 weeks that are very familiar with Monty and Jonathan Gannon from that standpoint. So I don't think that the Dobbs situation is going to be unusual for guys that are going to be coming in over the next 2 weeks.
You know what? You said it right. Like we're seeing Monty do stuff that we only wish Steve Keim would have done, which would have been aggressive in the market, go out and get players, bring guys in that we feel like, that it's going to help this team. Look, a familiar face and familiarity with the offense and the system.
1 minute.
That's a good move. That was a bold move. And I have no complaints with that. And I hope that Joshua comes in and he has that idea that, hey, I'm competing for a number 1 job. I can be the starter on week 1. If I show myself in this 4 days of practice that they probably will have, at a fast pace in a competition mode with our defense, that I hope that he comes out and does something extremely well. But the reality is that the guys have been playing the last 3 preseasons with Clayton Tune. He looks like a veteran. He doesn't like a veteran, but he does look like he doesn't make mistakes. He's been making solid decisions with the football. And again, we haven't seen the complete package of our offense. JC hasn't been our running back, but we've been impressed with some of the running plays that have been called, the use of the tight end, the guys that have been in motion, the difference that our offense have taken, completely different than what we've seen last year with Kingsbury's offense.
He's Frank Sanders here on a Monday. Nice enough to take some time to join us. And now that 3 games are in the preseason, they're all wrapped up. You still got 10 wins for this team?
You know what, Rock? I'm gonna start a fight with you, man.
I mean, I can play it back. I mean, a couple weeks ago, you said 10 wins.
This is what I say. I have been looking at, and I told you guys honestly, my entire desire this post preseason was to watch how our defensive coordinator call plays and how our offense coordinator operated our offense. And again, that's not. I would say I like what I've seen thus far in our offensive coordinator and our defense coordinator. I've always said they're the caveat to the players that we have. I think we have enough studs on offense to make some plays and get out and go ahead and get after it. Barring how well the offense coordinator does his job. Defense coordinator, I say the same. I like where we are, and I still like my 10 wins for the season. I do.
Okay.
It's on record.
Right,
it's on tape.
Yep.
That That's a wrap, we're told. That's a wrap.
Love you, brothers, man. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you, Frank.
That's Frank Sanders joining us here. He's got 10 wins for this Cardinal team. He needs to go vote. We have a State 48